promises are a complex topic for many people. So in this video we'll try to demystify it, we'll try to understand what promises are. So let's learn it by an example. So I'll open my terminal. I just opened my terminal. I'll create a folder. Let's call it promises. And I'll open my Visual Studio Code in this folder. So it has opened the folder promises. I'll create a index.html file and a app.js. I'll create a skeleton HTML and link my app.js to it.js, something like this. So app.js, I'll write a simple console.log hello world and open this in a live server. Open with live server. If I open the console, so you can see hello world getting printed here. Right? So a simple program to print hello world. So try to understand promises now. So before that, I'll tell you something about event loop, and that will make things slightly more clear. So suppose if I write a set timeout here. Set timeout is a function in JavaScript, inbuilt function in JavaScript, which runs a function after certain milliseconds. After 2 seconds. So it will run this function, run this function after 2 seconds. So what do you think should be the output of this function? So some might think, okay, after 2 seconds, after 2 seconds gets printed, this string, and then hello world printed. Or some might know that, okay, hello world gets printed first. And so let's see the output. You can see hello world gets printed first, and after 2 seconds this after 2 second string gets printed. Let's go something else. So hello world gets printed, and after 2 seconds welcome gets printed. So what's happening behind the scene? JavaScript maintains something called event loop. It is nothing but a table like this. So whenever JavaScript looks like a line, looks at some line like this, what it does is it makes an entry in the event loop, right? So for example, the name of this function is f. Call something like this. Call f when 2 seconds is complete, and it goes to the next line. So it will come to line 3, print hello world, and then go back to this line number, as in it will print line number 3. It will wait for a while, and then it will go to line number 3, and then it will come out of this main thread will consult this event loop after 2 seconds. It says call f when 2 seconds is complete. So when 2 seconds is complete, this statement, as in the event loop, asks the thread to run this. So the main program goes inside it and runs this function, and that's how we see welcome after 2 seconds. So the gist is, or the essence is, JavaScript does not wait. It makes an entry in the event loop and goes further. Something like this. Now let's try to understand promises. So I'll comment these lines. And we'll try to understand what are promises. So to understand this, let's take an example. So there's a father who promises his son that he will bring a gift, maybe on coming Sunday. And the son, so promises are like a future event. For example, this the father who promised his son that he will bring a gift on coming Sunday. So promises are a future event. So let's try to conceptualize or try to explain this through some program. Gift promise to a function. Yeah. So I was talking about promise. Promise is a future event, right? So it can both successfully complete or it can fail. For example, a promise, right? Gift promise. So on Sunday he can bring something. So it can successfully finish with some data. For example, the gift could be anything. So gift is that information or data. So the promise can successfully finish with something, or it can fail with a reason. So let me simulate it. Set timeout. We'll call this function after say 3 seconds, and I can write something like gift equal to bat, football, basketball, so these 3 items. And it can also fail. Let it. So I can create a random number, for example, using this math.floor math.random into 3. So if I do this, math.random will give me a number between 0 and 1, 0 point something. So into 3 will give me a number between 0 to 3. And math.floor will make it 0, 1 and 2. One of these. So if I make it 4, it will give me a number 0, 1, 2 or 3. So it is not there. So if I do something like this, const gift equal to gifts index, if I do something like this, so either I will get one of these 3 or undefined. So it is a future event, so it will happen. I'll get to know the gift only after 3 seconds, but I can make plans according to it. For example, make plan. The son can make plan, for example, on the basis of gift. He can do something like this: if gift equal to that console.log I will play cricket this weekend. Similarly, if it is a football, he can plan like, okay, I'll play football this weekend. And if it is a guitar, I'll stay home and play guitar this weekend, something like this. You can do that. And suppose the father forgets to bring the gift, so he can crib about it, right? Reason console.log oops, dad forgot the gift because something like this. So the gift is yet to come, or it is yet to fail. It will happen after 3 seconds. So these two things we can take it. For example, we want to integrate these functions, so we have to success function and failure function. So we can write something like this: if gift is there, then success function gift, else failure function gift. And we can call gift promise so that it executes after 3 seconds, and we can pass make plan and crib. So in this case gift is undefined, so we can pass, for example, was busy, something like this, as a reason. So these functions can be called with some data. So this is how a promise would look like. Now if I run this, let's refresh it, and say after 3 seconds it resolved, or the promise was successful with football. So what got called was, I will play football this weekend. If I refresh it again, after 3 seconds, oops, dad forgot the gift because was busy. So you're getting it. So this is what conceptually a promise should look like. So after 3 seconds, I'll play home and play guitar. So it resolved, as in there's a success case with guitar as a data. So there are terms for that. So we generally call success function as resolve, or success event as resolve, and error event or failure event as reject. So we can write the same as so after 3 seconds this one. Okay. So there is another way of writing the same thing. So instead of writing this, we can do const gift promise equal to new promise. It's a inbuilt class in JavaScript, and it takes a function which takes two parameters, resolve, reject, and it calls resolve and reject on the basis of some certain conditions. So here I can write the same thing. So same thing inside. What happens because of this? We have here the syntax changes to gift promise dot then make plan and resolve function and reject function. So it works the same way. I see. You can see it is working as we expected. So this is what promises conceptually is, and this is the inbuilt implementation of promise. So instead of taking functions as callbacks or passing functions into functions, we use dot then and then pass the functions. So I hope you understood promises to some extent, and we'll also check some inbuilt libraries. For example, there is something called fetch or Axios. We'll use Axios. So if Axios is a way to hit some URL on backend, Axios CDN. So in order to use Axios, we need to copy Axios we can use now. Suppose there is a URL here. There are some publicly available URLs. For example, this one. So if I copy it, again we can write const, let's call it data promise equal to Axios dot get and the URL, and we can do data promise dot then and pass two functions here, which like these, make plan and crib. So we can write const on success equal to, it will just take whatever comes and prints it. Similarly, on error does the same thing, and I'll pass on success on error. They just print. Or here, for now let's have it. So if I refresh, you can see something came. So it is a response from backend. So there is data, pay, whatever was here. And suppose if I type a wrong URL, for example this, so I get this object error network something, message network error, which means this line is getting printed. So instead of doing this, we can also do const data equal to restart. rest.data. We have all the users. You can do something like this, rest.data.data. So we have all the users. We can write const html do this and data dot for users dot for each user html plus equal to, let's have the usernames, first name and last name equal to and use a backtick operator div user dot first name user dot last name. And maybe document dot inner html equal to html. So users is an array and each array has a first underscore name and last underscore name. So you can see it just prints whatever comes on the screen. Similarly, on error it can print something. For example, if I make an error, what we get is this message is network error. So we can write document dot body dot inner html equal to this dot message. I see network error here, and if I fix it, this is. So Axios is a library which gives you a promise because it takes time to talk to a backend, especially when data is slow, especially when internet is slow. So it is a promise because it is a future event now, and we can plan things as in when this completes, what we'll do if there is success, there is error, something similar to this make, plan and crib. So all this can also be written in a single line. For example, we do not need extra variable, we can just write it here, and we might not need extra variables for on success. We can just copy things here and here, and I'll get rid of this. So mostly you'll see code like this, right? Similarly, I'll leave it as it because then you can have two flavors of how to handle promises. So I hope you understood what is a promise. So I'll end this video. I hope you got some idea about promises. If you have any doubt, let me know in the comment section. I'll also paste this code on GitHub and publish it. I'll paste the link in video description. So I'll quickly cover one more thing, which is async await. So it's just a different way of writing promises. So what I'll do, I'll make a copy of it. A app async await.js. Copy everything written here, paste it, and run written state. So if I refresh, you see it working. The same thing can be written. So this one. The same thing can be written using async await. I'll tell you how to write it. So you can see this is a normal way of writing promises. The same we can write using async await, and we just do it something like this: try const result, or you can say gift equal to await gift promise, and then you can do make plan. You can do make plan gift, and in catch you can write say error, and you can do crib error. And whenever you are using await, it has to be in a async function. So there is no function here, so I'll write a function and call it const f equal to async put my try catch inside and then call f. So you can see app oops dad forgot the gift because he was busy. If I refresh it again, I'll get something else. I'll stay home and play guitar this weekend. So same can be written. So initially it was that callback way, it was that promise only, but using dot then, and this is the same thing using async await. So as soon as we call await, so gift promise is called, and whatever it resolves with is returned gift. So it's slightly easier to understand and read, especially when there are multiple promises. Similarly, the same thing can be written as const g equal to async const response equal to await, and copy this line, and then you have everything here. You can just paste it, and it has to be in a try catch block. Try catch error paste it here. And I can call G. There is a shortcut as well. Instead of having a separate variable, we can wrap it inside a bracket and call it. You can see what we are seeing on the screen is coming from a backend promise. If I misspell it, you can see network error here. So it works the same way, just different way of writing the same thing. Your const is equal to await, and then it looks like it will wait for it, and then this line will happen. So internally promises, it is nothing but promise. So that's it, guys. I'll see you in some other video. Bye bye. Have a good day.